Hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing Vengeance Day 2024 edition, a premium live event from NXT meant to, distract people for at least the next 3 hours from the controversy of the weekend. And overall, Vengeance Day was, I would say, a hit of a premium live event. Pretty solid night. None of the championships changed hands, and with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the men's Dusty Classic final, Trick Melo Gang versus the Wolf Dogs. And going into the night, this looked like a true show stealer on paper. However, it did not live up to that billing. Breakker and Corbin have found their chemistry as a team, but the chemistry between the rival teams was not found. A few miscues slowed this down, not allowing these teams to reach the level of the Wolf Dogs semifinal battle with Frazier and Axiom. Still, it was a good enough performance as the first part of Trick's big night. The result made sense. Breakker may be added to the main roster soon, but he and Corbin have one more story left to tell as a tag team, and if the rules allow, I don't know if they do or don't. I'd imagine they probably don't, but let's just say hypothetically they do. They could even use the Dusty Classic to challenge the Judgment Day instead of the Family. I would rather see that than the Wolf Dogs versus the Family, mainly because the Family still got more they can do as tag team champions, whereas the Judgment Day, it kind of feels like they've run their course as tag team champions. Trick and Melo told a good story together. Hayes even took the spear for his friend, potentially protecting his friend's NXT championship, protecting his friend ahead of his NXT championship match. It did set up some questions about Melo's loyalty at the main event, which you kind of found out about at the end of the show. NXT Women's Championship match, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez, and Lola Vice attempted to cash in her women's breakout tournament contract and, came up short. And now, while Valkyria awaits her next challenger for probably a roadblock, Perez and Vice will battle it out. Now, will that feud stretch all the way to roadblock? Probably not, but nonetheless, at least Perez has something to do in the interim. So this was a match of two halves. Perez and Valkyria worked the opening section like a technical main event, building toward a 20-minute classic. When Vice arrived, the pace picked up, pushing this into a chaotic triple threat that showed the best of what the breakout star can do. It also showed where she can improve as a performer with transition, with some awkward transitions and a sloppy finish. That said, as a whole, this worked. The crowd was invested in the action, especially for the struggles of Perez, who lost yet another championship opportunity here. She didn't lose her title in the first place, and now here she is getting an opportunity to reclaim it, only for Lola Vice to show up and ruin things for her. It was the right move for Valkyria to retain here. Vice is far from ready for a title run, and Perez losing cheap here sets up an exciting rematch for WrestleMania weekend. If NXT is interested in running this back at Stand and Deliver, that is going to be a special match between these two. NXT North American Championship match, Oba Femi versus Dragon Lee. And I'll tell you what, this match had no business being as great as it was. This was an incredible battle of styles that genuinely stole the show. I would say match of the night. This one right here, match of the night. The way that Femi kept answering Dragon through sheer power was impressive. He came off as an unstoppable force while telling a complete story in the ring. Femi should not be this good. He signed with WWE in December 2021 while still at the University of Alabama. No prior wrestling experience, and yet 2 years later he looks like a star and still in the show from veterans. It always helps when you can work with someone like Lee. Dragon has consistently pushed his opponents to greater heights. He and Femi have great chemistry that should be utilized in the future. Speaking of the future, it's bright for the NXT North American Champion, and it's hard to imagine anyone taking in the gold from him anytime soon. Now, will he still be champion by the time Wesley returns from injury? Who knows? Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But at the very least, going through Stand and Deliver, I think we can count on Oba Femi being the NXT North American Champion, and maybe even beyond Stand and Deliver. NXT Championship match, Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams, and while Dragunov retained his title here, and after the match, the move that I think most people saw coming, Carmelo Hayes turning on Trick Williams. And this was a great drama undercut by some messy booking down the stretch. Both men lead into this bloody, brutal battle that is by far the best performance of Trick's career. The way they played the crowd made for a special atmosphere. Dragunov even leaned into the bad guy role a bit. Though Melo's involvement in ringside distracted a bit from the dynamic, the story of the match was a bit too much about him murdering competitors, especially in the closing stretch. I don't really get the whole ringside interference thing too, where you got Dragunov's face. I mean, I guess it sets up, that low block, inadvertent low block sort of thing, but probably could have gone without that. The story of the match was a bit too much about him murdering. Yeah, okay, I said that bit. So the result might have been a shock to a few people. I think most people saw that coming. Even with the aftermath. The crowd on hand was ready for Trick to complete his story rise, but he fell just short. Dragunov's next title defense might be overshadowed by the aftermath of Trick's falling out, although I would consider that unlikely at the moment. Maybe it will be, but again, I doubt it, especially if Dragunov's moving away from the storyline between Trick and Melo and onto whoever his next challenger is. Which should be an interesting question for Stand and Deliver. The signs were obvious that Melo was going to turn on Trick. No one else could have been the one to attack him backstage, and this was the right moment for a turn. Melo vs. Trick is a money program, and it should headline Stand and Deliver. So in conclusion, NXT delivered a night to remember at Vengeance Day. The one that comes off as a preamble loss to the true... I'm losing my place here. That cat threw me off. So we'll just start over from the top. NXT delivered a night to remember Vengeance Day. The one that comes off as a preamble to the true top program NXT is ready to produce. The opener set up vulnerabilities for Trick Williams that cost him his title shot at Ilya Dragunov in the main event. However, both matches suffered a bit from the need to set up something bigger down the line. Trick and Dragunov can have a better match down the line once he is done with Carmelo Hayes, assuming Dragunov is still champion. And NXT wants to go back to that. Trick versus Melo feels like the kind of battle that made the former Black and Gold brand truly special. A personal war at the tail end of a memorable friendship, similar to I won't say that it is Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole, but it is similar. It could be similar to Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. Roxanne Perez and Lyle Valkyria gave fans a taste of what they can do together, but Lola Vice's involvement changed the dynamic entirely, leaving a sense that the greatest work is yet to come between these two. Dragon Lee and Obafemi sold the show what could be the night that made a future megastar. Dijak and Joe Gacy over-delivered in a filler position, while the Family vs. OTM should have been left off the card. As a whole, NXT made sure that the fans of the Gold brand remembered this night. However, it is Stand and Deliver that will be NXT's greatest night of 2024, based on the build to come. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.